Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paperpalooza Craft Corner. Today we're going to do part 1 of our 3-part series on the My Monthly Hero Kit for August 2018. So in this video we are going to go over the new catalog that came out for holiday, as well as unbag the kit and make a few cards. So let's start with the Seasons of Wonder catalog that just came out. I'm going to actually make the screen a little wider for you guys because I think I can't get it all in frame, because it's a very tall catalog. But we see a lot of beautiful holiday card kits and little stamp sets and dies. Some that we have seen before and others that are new. Now, because look at this llama. Isn't this llama cool? They have a lot of these really cool ones, like this fawn is one that I really adored too. This beautiful angel if you like wooden stamps. I even like this deer with the spots. But one of my favorites so far is this owl. Look at this beautiful owl. He'd be great for Halloween cards, winter cards. He is just beautiful. And this log cabin, oh my gosh, is so beautiful. It makes me feel like I'm ready to make some cards because there are so many cute little kits out there in this, as well as background stamps. Look at these 3-dimensional dies. There's even ornament dies. Oh my god, they're so pretty. Different little things that you can make. And one thing I love about their catalogs is they often give you a little inspiration for each kit on the page. And you can just sit there and you can look at it and say, you know what, I could make a card like that. That is really pretty. I never thought of using a stamp set like that. There's even autumn section. Not just say that it's all about Christmas, because we have sunflowers here for autumn, some Thanksgiving, owls, even a little Halloween here for those people that love making Halloween cards and Halloween scrapbook pages. Look at that. But look at these stencils. Aren't they pretty? Like, I love that mandala. Now, this gives you a lot of idea for their inks and their shimmer sprays. And one thing they have new is these beautiful glimmer metallic inks. Aren't they pretty? And then, of course, you have the liquid watercolors. They keep on adding all kinds of beautiful new colors in those. A lot of their different ink pads and the different types that you can get. And it does explain a lot to you about what kind of inks they have. Here's their sequins on there. They have a lot of beautiful sequins too. Now, another thing I always have people say is, I love that, embossing powder, where can I get it? This is the sand one that we had in one of the kits, and this is a puff one we have in this kit. You can get these embossing powders separate. You don't have to just buy the kits for them. They often add them into their line soon after. And of course, you got all their little other add-ons that they have from themselves and from other companies. But here's another closer look at that glimmer ink. Isn't that beautiful? And that metallic glimmer ink is just so pretty. But there's the catalog. It's beautiful. It's a lot thinner than they usually make, but that's fine. It actually makes it a little bit nicer. You can get this in the hard form like I have, or you can download it online through PDF, or just even view it online in PDF. But let's get into the kit. Now, you're saying, wow, the second bag is really light. It really is. Usually we do get more in our kits, but the content is just so pretty. It's not like it's lacking anything. I don't have any coffee kits in my collection, so I was actually quite excited about this because I've been thinking about getting it. So you get all these wonderful little cups, like the little solo cups, coffee cups, tea cups, espresso cups, whatever you want to make. The little little gleams for the cups where they show shine, some hearts, all kinds of fun stuff. Like you get all the little toppings, the steam. So let's start by opening pack number 1. Now, in the little accessory pack here, there are 4 items, 2 sheets of paper, as well as the other add-ons. This is like a coffee tea stained paper. It's got a beautiful, almost lace doily design. And it's so fun. And look at, and you can put them together and make a bigger piece, overlap them. I mean, it's just beautiful. Now, the next piece we're going to talk about is the white puff embossing powder. And this is not your classic embossing powder in the least. Usually when you use a white embossing powder, it glosses over and it gets a shine and becomes semi-opaque. This one is matte and it puffs up as you heat it, which is really fun. I've used it once in a charcoal color too, and it really is fun. Now, this is one thing we've seen before. This is a lacquer pen. I use these quite often in a lot of my cards. You have seen me use them in the past. I do like their lacquer pens because it is more like a pen. Now into the stamp set in the dies. Now this stamp set is fun. Very, very fun because you can build whatever kind of coffee or tea cup you desire. You can add different accessories to puff it up in a certain way. You put the cream, you know, it's all fun. I mean, look at all these cups you get. You get this classic teacup, mugs, like a frap or a kind of iced coffee cup, little lid for your solo cup. Look at these little cream lines that you can use to make beautiful cream designs in your cup. And then there's those little, like I said, little glints that you can put on there. And a heart. And look at these. Love you more than coffee. Hug in a mug. You're the cream in my coffee. Take a break. Java junkie. You're so sweet. You're hot. Life begins with coffee. Get stuff done. Send you latte love. Express yourself. Thanks a whole latte. We're the perfect blend. But first, coffee and world's best friend. I mean, look at that. You get the steam for your coffee cup, straw for your iced coffee, and you get all these fun dies on the back. So let's take our stamp set off and look at the fun, creamy coffee background you get in this. Some of you love using these. I really don't usually use them, but they are really fun to have just in case you ever change your mind. And look, there's that little almost cream, just like that heart that we have in the kit. But really fun too for those people that like using the backdrops for their cards too. Now, one thing is you get this beautiful frame die, and of course you get your coordinating dies that go with your stamps, like the mugs, the coffee cups, the cream. So I cut them out and I'm going to lay them out and show you what you get. Now, one sad thing I noticed, you get a lot of you get everything for the mugs, and the creams, and the lid, and then even the steam. And then you get one for one of the cream things. But I really wish they would have gotten the other ones too, at least the other two really decorative ones. Squiggly line one, not so much, but I mean the two other ones would have been nice. But other than that, you get a really good set of dies for what you can make with these cups. And this frame die, like I said, is just gorgeous. So let's start making some cards. Now that we've looked at the kit and we looked at the catalog, let's get into some cards. So I'm going to start by stamping these cute little, like almost little espresso cups. And I'm going to put the little heart in the middle. And that's the nice thing about these cups is they're open, so you can do whatever you want in them. You're not tied to coloring in one color or doing whatever design on them. Once you stamp the outer layer, you can do whatever you want inside it. I've seen masking going on in there. I've seen coloring. I've seen watercolor. I've seen even putting some of the sentiments in the middle, so have fun with it. Me, I'm just going to try to keep this card a little simple, but really fun. So I'm going to stamp these out in my Memento tuxedo, because I am going to color them with my Arteza markers. So I am going to keep these cups looking very creamy. So I'm going to start with a pink for the hearts. And then I'm going to color the coffee inside with my two shades, almost a medium shade and a lighter shade in my Arteza markers, just to give it some shadow. And then I'm going to top this off with some gray, because I want these mugs to be white, but have their shadow at least on the edges. So I'm doing the darkest color, then my medium tone. And then my lightest tone. Keeping it really simple, because sometimes a simple cup of coffee is all you need. So I'm going to die cut these out with the corresponding die. And then we are going to work on our back panel. And for this, I am using, I believe it is brushed corduroy. And I'm going to just tone from this corner upward. And as you're seeing, I'm just pulling it out as I go, letting the darker part be in the center. And I'm only going to do it in a corner. I'm not going all over the paper, because I don't want this whole sheet of paper to be this brown. I want just this corner, just to give a little bit of something. And I'm just going from the center and moving out. That way it fades in nicely. Almost done there. And now I'm going to take my mini mister and I'm going to spritz this panel a little bit, just to get some fun water spots on there. That looks perfect. Now I'm going to wipe down my center here, because I am now going to come in with my rich cocoa, and I'm going to put in Love You More Than Coffee. Trying to keep in this coffee brown kind of cocoa brown color theme going on here. And I'm doing this on a craft card form. And I'm going to pull out a panel of foam so that I can mount my distressed panel that I just did on there. And as you see, I kind of lost a little bit of the video. Sorry about that. There was a glitch with my camera. So I'm also going to gloss these up with the enamel pen, just to give the cups a little glitz. And I mounted one on there, and I did the other one with foam, some foam squares. And then you get that little glitz with the coffee cups. Isn't that just the simplest but really cute card? Now for card number 2, I'm going to start by putting, I believe it's Take a Break. Yep, Take a Break, and that rich cocoa again. And then I'm going to put that aside. And for this card, I am going to do this beautiful little mug that came in there. And once again, I'm going to pull out the heart. And I'll try to lay it out. I'll put my magnets down. And I'm going to take some unicorn white. And I'm going to just go around the edges. And I'm going to do this in unicorn white, because I wanted to make kind of a chalkboardy look on this with some of the brown craft. So I am going to heat set that so that it doesn't smear. And then I'm going to come in with a white colored pencil. And I'm going to color in the spots that I believe need to be colored in, just for shadow. I don't think I've ever done a card with you guys with colored pencils, and I figured this would be a great one to start with. That way you can see the kind of fun monotone, kind of chalkboardy look you get with sometimes a white, just a white color pencil. I'm just going to fade it in a little bit just to soften it. Soften the edges. And I'm going to cut that out with the corresponding die. And there you go. Very simple, but very fun. But I was almost not feeling the heart, so I am going to end up probably coloring that once I cut out the little whipped cream here. A pink, only because I felt like the white was just a little too much. So for this, I'm going to just put some of that unicorn white on a piece of cardstock. And I'm going to actually come in with the puff embossing powder that came in the kit. And you're going to see when I bring it up front what happens. It puffs up. You get a very fun matte texture, and it kind of beads and puffs up. The more you heat it, the more it puffs. And the more layers you put on it, the more it puffs. And I'm going to do a couple layers just to make it really puffy like cream. And the reason I'm using the unicorn white is I really wanted to keep that whiteness to it. I mean, I could have used my embossing thing, but I just didn't think it was going to stick as well when it came to the second and third layer. Because probably one layer it would have stuck, but I don't think I would have gotten a good all over stick because it's not as juicy as this unicorn white is. So I cut it out and then I noticed it kind of flattened out. So I'm going to do one more layer now that's cut out over this. Go, and look how puffy that is. It's so cool. So I also am going to take the unicorn white again, and I'm going to put my sentiment on the front of my card form. I was going to do this as a layered card, but I decided I wanted to keep this a single layer card with a beautiful three-dimensional design on front with the coffee cup. So here I am. I'm just going to put that life begins after coffee, thus take a break. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that puff, that creamy puff, and of course put my little foam squares from Scotch on the back. Boy, it kind of sticks up a little. There is that. Like I said, here I come in with this pink color pencil because I felt the white was a little too monotone and I wanted the heart to be pink. So I'm going to make sure I pull off all these fun little backings here. And I'm going to stick that on there. And there we go. Very simple but very effective card. And see that puff? I'm going to show it a little closer up. Now for the last card of this video, I'm going to be using Stick It by Ken Oliver because I am going to be using that beautiful background die. Now, if you've never used Stick It, it's a wonderful die-cuttable double-sided adhesive. And it's the only one I have found. There's another brand out there that also is pretty good, but his honestly is the best. It sticks well, and it's just so die cuttable. Some of the other ones, they can be a little thick sometimes, and then your die won't go through, and it's just a mess. His is pretty die cuttable compared to some of them. Though I did notice when I cut my die, and I will show this to you later, that I have a slightly defective die. And it's a bummer, but it's fixable. So I'm going to lay out my die on this, and I'm going to cut it out. And I put the black card form on one side of the adhesive and cut it out. and the other side is still covered with the adhesive backing. So that way I can cut this and peel and stick. So here I am, I cut it out. Now, I noticed when I cut it that this little coffee carafe, I guess it is, it doesn't cut all the way. And I was wondering why it was not cutting, and then I realized exactly why it wasn't cutting. I had a little defective line on my die, and it's not a biggie. I'll just take my scissors and I'll snip it, though I wish I had my smaller scissors. I've just ordered some new scissors, so I hope to be able to show them off on my next video. But I'm going to have to pull out as much as I can and then snip that little part. And of course I'm using my tool-in-one to help me with any of the issues that I'm having with it. Like I said, we're going to snip that little coffee carafe a little bit. Just going to pull it closer. Sorry, I'm off screen, but I had to pull it closer so I could cut it nicely. And I'm going to go in here with my tool-in-one and poke out that curly Q on the sign, because that's very intricate. And I am ending up losing some of my adhesive backing, which is just the paper part. It leaves it exposed, but it's fine. It's only a little bit. And there's that. So I'm going to clean up my space here a little bit because I am going to do something fun with this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a panel that is sort of a sunset theme. So I'm using my fossilized amber, my spice marmalade, and my worn lipstick. I'm going to use my die as a kind of guide of how wide I want to go. That way I don't go all over the paper, because there's no point in me going over that. So I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is the fossilized amber, and I'm just going to move my way up this panel. Now I'm coming in with the spice marmalade. And of course, last we're going to do our worn lipstick. Now I'm going to mist this with some more water, just like I did with the first card. Just get that fun water droplet. And I'm going to slightly heat set this because I just want to speed up our card making process a little bit, just to let it dry a little bit. And now we're going to do something more fun. I am going to color with my watercolor and my Distress Oxides some of the aspects of this background. I saw someone do this with colored pencils, and I thought it was really fun. But I was like, why can't I do this with my Distress Oxides? Because Distress Oxides can be used on colored paper, and you can get a almost chalkboard effect on it, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to kind of semi-watercolor these on. I'm starting with, I believe it's the walnut. And then I'm going to come in with some of the fired brick, just to give some more color to the chairs. Now I'm going to come in with the broken china. and do the little tables. I didn't want this card to be a silhouette. I kind of wanted there to be some dimension to it. So I figured coloring them would give me that dimension. So I'm going to move my palette out of the way because I need more room for more colors so that I can get a more richer design to it. Because I was noticing that when I watered them down, they just weren't showing as brightly as if I did them straight off the glass with the oxides. So I'm going to do some green now for the plants in the background. Now to the hanging plant. And the coffee cups. And the carafe. And then I'm going to come in with some blue, more of that blue right there on those planters. Now, this is where I said, where do I want to go next? Because I wanted the seam to be a lighter color. So I decided to take out my unicorn white and just do the seam. And that actually made me a beautiful gray because I was going to use the ice spruce, but I just thought it was going to be too gray. Then I said, what about the top here? The top of the building. Wouldn't it have some pinstriping? So I said, oh, that will make it almost look kind of like it's stone. So I'm just coming around with the unicorn white. Just filling it in. And touch up these spots. And then I was trying to think where else I wanted to touch up. I'm going to do a sign here. And I think that's going to be about it. So now that I have it all dry, I'm going to pull apart my stick-it paper from the back. And you can see the adhesive there. Remember a few videos back when I said, hey, you know, the best way when you have an intricate die is honestly stick it. And it is, honestly, because it's die cuttable and you can make it into any intricate die. And it just makes it so much easier. Now, the one good thing about stick it too is it doesn't always stick really good the first time. Like I just goofed up on the sign, so it's not totally stuck down yet. You got to push it down quite well for it to stick permanently. Sometimes you can go over it with a brayer. I'm just going to tap it because I have a lot of color in there and I'm not sure if it's all dry. So I'm going to cut off the edge. I was going to leave the white edge and I decided not to. So I'm just going to cut that down. Isn't that pretty? So now I'm going to stick some craft foam behind this. And this is a thicker craft foam because it's such a simple double layer. I just want it to be a little bit more raised up. And now I'm going to take my card form, which is a black card form, and I'm going to put my panel right on top. And right after I stuck it, I realized I really should have done those edges. So I'm going to come in with my tuxedo black and I'm just going to touch up my edges, just to touch them up. So they don't look as white on the edges on that black. Oops, and I missed one right there. And there's that card. Now I was going to put a sentiment on the front and I decided not to. So instead I'm going to put one inside. Because I was going to leave it as a note card. But then I realized I don't want to take away from the front of it. The intricacy of the die is pretty enough. So I put coffee is always a good idea inside of my panel. And like all my black card forms, I always put a paper panel inside because it is very hard to stamp in pigment inks, and it's harder to find a gel ink pen that will write on black. So make it easy for your person getting the card to write it on. And there's that last card. Isn't that pretty? So I hope you loved watching this video, and if you did, please watch our last uploaded video, as well as a video specially curated just for you. And like always, we welcome you to click our channel icon, like, subscribe, and ring for notifications. And also be sure to check our website for our newsletter, where you can get crafty sales and video updates.